With the Operation Winter event coming up, I figured it would be a good time to cover event grinding with Naval's new tree layouts. In this video, I'll cover the new vehicles and whether or not they're worth picking up, and some strategies and battle ratings to best grind out the winter event. These opinions are based off data from the first dev server for update 2.3 and may be subject to change. I will be doing full reviews on both ships once I'm able to, so these will just be basic overviews to give an idea of if they're likely to be good or not. The first reward ship is the Japanese Type K8 1942, a premium which takes 5 event stars. Put simply, this is a Type K8 1944, except it loses its 25mm cannons and gets dropped to 2.3 as a result. It doesn't seem great for a few reasons. It can only grind up to the other Type K sub-chasers, and is pretty weak in its own right. The 8cm gun has a very slow damage output, and the 13.2mm machine guns provide a pretty poor anti-air defense. It doesn't really seem that unique as far as the event vehicles go, so it's not really worth going for if you're not picking up the reward after it. The second ship is the American USS Baltimore, a non-premium which takes 10 event stars. This is a ship that US players have been waiting for since the Graf Spee was added, the most produced heavy cruiser class ever, and the second strongest heavy cruiser class ever, one not counting the Oregon City subclass separately at least. So naturally, it's a perfect fit for a limited time event vehicle. How good this is depends entirely on Gaijin, since it has 3 make or break features: slam loading, super heavy armor piercing ammunition, and improved dispersion over the previous American heavy cruisers. The super heavy shells do seem to be modeled in the dev server, however the w.i.n.t.e.r formula has messed them up so thoroughly that the shell only has around 20mm more pen than the standard AP. It also has a ton of anti-air weaponry, with 12 127mm cannons with HEVT, 48 40mm Bofors autocannons, and 24 20mm Oerlikon autocannons. If Gaijin models the Baltimore correctly, then it will be the best cruiser in game, but it will still struggle to even match a Dreadnought in a 1v1 just like the rest of them. Overall, it depends heavily on how they model the ship itself, but it should have a niche as the best overall cruiser for enduring confrontation and the strongest anti-aircraft cruiser in the game. It does seem to be worth grinding, just keep in mind that it will encounter many incredibly difficult matchups since Dreadnoughts are right next to it. Other rewards for the naval tasks are pin-up decals for 3, 6, 9, and 12 stars, and then camouflages for the unlockable ships at 6 and 11 stars. As for the event itself, it's one of the very straightforward medal-based events. You need to play naval for naval rewards, and every 2 days you can earn a medal. Each medal has 5 tasks, and to earn points towards tasks, you have to use rank 2 or above coastal or blue water ships. The tasks are as follows: dealing 30,000 damage, winning 9 battles, capturing 7 points, killing 5 enemies with either ship-launched or air-launched torpedoes, and finishing a battle in first place. Dealing 30,000 damage is very straightforward, and will generally happen over the course of grinding out the other tasks. Destroyers are the best for this task generally, as the lower time to kill and high damage output leads to accumulating damage points much faster. For winning 9 battles, it's best to play in large squads. A team of coordinated players is better than any individual ship or playstyle. My Discord has a lot of active naval players, so if you're looking for people to team up with, use the join link in the description. It's also best to play around PT boats and destroyer battle ratings, since cruiser and dreadnought battles take much longer to complete, slowing down the process of winning. For capturing 7 points, it's pretty simple. Play in destroyer or cruiser battles, then use a high-speed coastal ship to capture points in domination matches at the beginning of the match. It's effectively exploiting Gaijin's poor game design in naval and ruins the match for everybody else in it, but it works. Killing 5 enemies with torpedoes is either very easy or very hard, depending on the country or mode you're playing. Japanese destroyers, Japanese aircraft, and American aircraft are all very good at it. It's also much easier in arcade battles as you get infinite torpedo reloads along with torpedoes being much faster. Just be warned, the elevated number of air players will likely result in more players bringing out ships with better AA weaponry. Theoretically, this task is the fastest of the bunch, though whether or not you want to focus on it should depend on the country and lineup in play. Last is finishing a battle in first place. This one is simple enough and just requires a single good match. Just take whatever lineup you do best with and play it until you get a good one. Using some of the more objectively overpowered ships also helps in finishing this task. I would recommend aiming for the damage task and wins task, taking the first place task if you get it, and having either torpedoes or captures as a focus just in case you don't. As for what ships and lineups are the best, generally you'll want to stick to destroyers and patrol boats in the destroyer battle ratings. They rack up damage, kills, and caps faster than higher tier ships, along with getting modes like Encounter and Conquest less often. Keep in mind when making your lineup that you can't grind the task with tier 1 ships. I would recommend removing them from your lineups outright and placing universal backups onto tier 2 and 3 vehicles if you don't have enough for a full lineup, since using a tier 1 doesn't really contribute anything to the event grind. For America, I would recommend 4.3 or 4.7. The Fletcher and Sumner are very powerful, and at 4.7, you won't get up tiered to face dreadnoughts. They have the highest overall damage output of all countries' destroyers and are the only ones with modeled armor, so they're the best event grinders overall. The PT-810 or any 2.7 PT boat works well for capping points. The BTD-1 is also a great addition to the lineup if you have it, carrying 2 of America's strongest aerial torpedoes at once. With Germany, 4.3 is their best battle rating. The Type 1936, 1936B, and 1934A 1940 are all pretty effective jack-of-all-trades ships, particularly excelling at longer ranges and in overall damage output. The w.i.n.t.e.r boot Project 206 are good for capturing points, but they lack an effective airdrop torpedoes. For Russia, it's again 4.3 or 4.7. The Moskva and PR-7U have great damage output and are amazing against ammunition racks with their SAP ammunition, and the Tashkent and Neustrashimy, if you bought it before it went off sale, are even better. The PR-206 and PR-206M are great for capturing points, though they again lack an airdrop torpedoes. Great Britain's extensive 4.3 lineup is their best for this event, having a range of strong jack-of-all-trades destroyers to pick from. They lack an effective fast attack craft for capping, though an earlier ship like the Dark class can possibly serve that role. Great Britain gets some alright torpedo planes like the w.i.n.t.e.r, but they have generally weak airdrop torpedoes compared to America and Japan. Japan is best at either 4.3 or 4.7. 4.3 for mass torpedo spam with the Yugomo and Shimikaze, or 4.7 to bring in the Keiko and Akazuki for additional firepower. They lack in fast ships for capping, having the Type 11 at best, but have excellent airdrop torpedoes on planes such as the B7N2, making them the best country for the torpedo task. Last is Italy, who is yet again best at 4.3, not because of their destroyers though. The Freccia P493 is still blatantly overpowered and is the only vehicle worth noting as far as this event goes for Italy. Expect to see these out in force throughout the event, since it is simply the best vehicle to grind with, even with no effective backup vehicles. Italy also gets a few planes with torpedoes, but nothing particularly notable. Overall, the best countries for this event are America for standard play, and Japan for the torpedo tasks. Germany, Britain, and Russia are all fine choices. Italy I can only recommend at all if you have the Freccia. If you only just started Naval, or don't have anything in the mode and want the vehicles anyway, start with Japan as they have the fastest grind into tier 2. Unlock the Yugomo immediately, and then exclusively play it in arcade while spamming as many torpedoes as possible. It's a bit of a boring method, but it does work. If you just want to buy a low tier premium to grind the event, the British J-Class Leader is a good choice. It's a well-rounded ship, and is currently the only blue water premium that doesn't face either dreadnoughts or come in at tier 1 where it can't grind the event. That's all for this one. If you have any questions about the event, just leave them in the comments and I'll try to answer them when I can. Thank you for watching.